All right, everybody, welcome back to Josh Does Life. So doing a video this time on kind of RODI water storage and saltwater storage and mixing, that type stuff. In the past, I've always done, I guess this pretty much standard for most people, most of the hobbyists in saltwater tanks that I've talked to, just use brute trash cans as kind of like the cheap and easy way to go about it for the most part. I've done that for a number of years, but I wanted to try to make it easier. So I'm gonna do kind of some storage tanks, and I have some pumps and plumbing and all that stuff that I've purchased. So I'm gonna show you what I've purchased first, and then I'm gonna put it all together, and then I'll show it all together and up and running, and you can let me know what you think. It just depends you know, on what your goals are, what you want to do. I mean, I've known people that keep saltwater tanks that just use buckets. Nothing wrong with that, just more work than I want to put into it. Then like I said, the brute trash cans work fine. I've used that for a number of years and never really had any issues, but I kind of have in mind a different type setup that I want to do. So I've seen some others do this as well. It just, you know, it's putting more money into it. This stuff isn't cheap. So basically, and I'll just tell you a little bit, I know I'm rambling, I'll tell you a little bit what I've got so far. So I took off and went to Tractor Supply. They have vertical water storage containers. They were the only ones that I could find locally. You can find lots of sites online, but the shipping gets, you know, up to like $300 or so when you're shipping larger water barrels or containers. So I stayed away from that. I didn't want to pay as much in shipping as the tanks cost. I found them online for like 115 bucks, but by the time I paid shipping and all for two of them, I was going to look at $400 or $500. So I went to Tractor Supply and I found the 65 gallon vertical water storage tanks. They're pre-drilled and have a spout at the bottom, or spout opening, whatever you want to call it, bulkhead. Have a place that you can attach your pipe already built in. I think they said they're made by Wesco, something like that. Anyway, they were $199 a piece. So kind of more expensive, but I mean, I still came out better than paying shipping to get them shipped to me. So I'll show you what I've got. I've also ordered some pumps, and I've got all the piping. I'm gonna do 3/4, just regular PVC piping. I guess schedule 40. I'm not gonna do all the more expensive colored pipes and all that type stuff. You know, this is gonna be just a setup in my basement that nobody's ever gonna see other than the people that watch this video. And I'll show you what I've purchased so far, and then kind of talk about my plans more, and well, probably show you all of it together and then talk about the plans. So anyway, let me turn it around here. Okay, so I just got done a while ago washing these guys, and they still have like black marks on them and things like that, I guess from shipping. I basically took some Dawn dish detergent, a bucket, and a wash rag, and I kind of wiped them down really well, and I really kind of scrubbed them some, but I still can't get all those black marks off of them. But anyway, that's kind of the best I could do without taking like maybe Scotch-Brite pad or something like that. It, like I said, doesn't really matter to me the appearance as much. I wanted to kind of clean them up some before I took them in the basement, but ultimately it doesn't matter. So like I said, it's got the, I guess you call them bulkheads, pre-attached to the bottom. I think the inside thread on it's like 1.5. I've got a reducer to take it down to 3/4 because the pumps themselves are 3/4 thread. So I'm just gonna continue on with 3/4. Nothing special to them. These are each, they're the same. They're both 65 gallon, which looking at the markings, I don't think you can really see them. So 55's here and 65, it's kind of like up top. So I'll probably go to basically where it's level. So I'll probably get about after I drill a hole and put a float valve in here, probably have really about 55 to 60 gallons usable. The lids, it's got a vent on top and then just screw off. Nothing special to them. Empty tank inside, and I put a hose nozzle inside it and rinsed them out the best I could. I think what I'll do is fill them both with RODI water one time and then just drain them after I get them set up before I actually make any like usable water in them, just to make sure they are cleaned out. The insides look pretty clean, and I sprayed them out, you know, with a nozzle, but we'll see. I'll try to. I didn't see any like particles or pieces of plastic or any of that stuff in it, so hopefully they'll be okay. But so next I'll show you the pumps and some of the equipment I've got. So here's equipment. I'm not showing all the just PVC pipe. There's no point in that. Everybody's seen it. But I will show you after I have it all together. So what I have here are two, I guess it's Iwaki pumps. Ordered these from Bulk Reef Supply after reading a lot of reviews, watching videos and all. These are Japanese motors that are supposed to be some of the better ones made. Supposedly they last forever. I considered getting the Pan, P-A-N brand. They're cheaper than these, but I've seen some things where people said that they run not only a little bit louder, which isn't going to matter for me because this will be in the basement, but just the longevity of them altogether. So I have two different sizes, and the reason for that is my plan is that I'll put the larger one on the saltwater tank, and I'll put the smaller one on the RODI, the clean water tank. What I'm planning to do is I could have just done one pump, and I've seen people set that up and plan and have two tanks and one line or two lines going into one pump and then going to various things. I want to have, even though I don't think it's as much of a requirement, and I could have done it different ways. I could have just dropped a little wave maker pump in or whatever, but I want to have the water circulating in both tanks all the time. So I wanted a pump for each. The reason that I have the larger pump for the saltwater is my plan. I looked at the head pressure and how high it could go and how many feet and all. My plan is to not only have it recirculating, but have valves in place so I can set it up and pump water up to the main level of my house from the basement so I can refill the tanks. So my game plan is I have two Python hoses. I'm going to use one hose to hook up to a spigot outside. It's 100 feet, and I can, when I do my water changes, I can drain water out of both tanks, and then I can just go to the basement and switch this over, and I have another 100-foot Python, which I think should reach to both tanks. If not, I can get an extension and then just refill both of them as well. So I wanted one with a higher head pressure to make sure I could get water upstairs to my tanks. So I have the bigger one for the saltwater tank, and then just have the smaller model just to basically, all it's going to do is keep the water circulating in the RODI tank, and then I'll have another valve so I can use it to fill the saltwater tank when I need to make more saltwater. In case anybody wants to see what these guys look like. And if you want to skip past my rambling, I always just skip forward, or if you want to get past just taking a look at some of these unboxing things and all, that's quite all right. Just skip forward. All right, so that's what we've got here. And it's supposed to be a 3/4 thread on the in and out. So I've already purchased the PVC adapters for that. It's a pretty heavy pump. I mean, it's definitely not light, But like I said, I went with these. I spent the extra money just hoping, not necessarily just because they're quieter, but just hoping they'll last for a long time. I'd rather pay more for something and it lasts 10 years versus have to buy something every 3 or 4 years. So this is the smaller one. Oh, I didn't even notice that. They don't even come with a plug. You have to put one together for it, which is fine, but kind of odd. Go through the little packaging thing. No, it doesn't. Well, so it doesn't come with one. So that's something else you'll have to. I guess these are meant to run all the time, and I guess, you know, they consider some people might just be straight wiring these in. I'm not sure of the thought process there, or maybe they just didn't want to, you know, even though this is the Awaki America, you know, it's a Japanese motor. Maybe they sell them all over the world, so they don't want to do the different adapters. I don't know, but that's no problem. You can pick one of those up at Lowe's. It's not something I knew I was gonna have to do. I'm assuming this one's the same. Yep, didn't even pay attention to that. So if you buy these pumps, keep that in mind. You might want to go ahead and get a actual plug to wire it up to beforehand. Let's see, valves. Everybody that's done PVC stuff before, I've always used the ones they sell at Lowe's, just the ball valves. Those suckers, they're cheap. You know, they're probably, what, $3 to $5, somewhere in that range. They're really hard to turn. I've had times, and especially when you run salt water through them at times, and if they don't get used for a little while, I think some of the residue of the salt might dry in there, and sometimes they become more difficult to turn. So I went ahead and spent the extra money on these. I guess they're called Sepics. Everybody that watches my channel knows I'm horrible at pronouncing things. These are very expensive. I got them on bulk reef supply as well. I'm not going to tell you the price because as people watch these videos, you know, the prices might change. But they are very expensive for what you get. I mean, it's basically for 4 of them, you're almost looking at $100. But they're very smooth turning. And I think they just do a better job as far as sealing up and lasting. Regular ball valves that you get from Lowe's and stuff, I've had some of those fail on me. I've had them break or crack. I just think these are probably a better quality and better made. So while I'm putting all this together, I just figured I'd go ahead and spend the extra money and do it right. And then in this order, the only other thing I have here is this new pump. So I thought about, and I'm not sure if I'm going to do it this way or not, but I just thought maybe if I pump the salt water up to a brute trash can on wheels on the main floor, right, the basement entrance, if my hoses didn't reach my aquariums, maybe I could just pump it into a brute trash can on wheels and then sit this pump down in there and then move it over to the aquarium and then pump salt water in for water changes. But, you know, I originally ordered it with that thought process, and I kind of thought about it more and decided, you know, just get the longer Python hoses and run, you know, I can roll it up and put a hook in the basement next to this and roll them up and put it there and then unroll it and just run the hose upstairs versus filling one container and then moving it over and plugging in that and then filling another one or filling up the tank. So I kind of decided just to take that step out if I can. We'll just, and like I said, I'll have to test it and see how all this works. It's just kind of my thought process and plan right now. If it doesn't work, then I can go back to this route. I think that's a 3/4 adapter on that too, so I could probably just screw a Python directly into it. I'm not really sure the what head pressure and all this stuff this thing does, but no, I don't see where it says right off. height. I guess, I don't know if that's like supposed to be 10.2 feet. Maybe that's the head pressure or how far it can pump water. I'm not really sure. We'll have to look into that. But anyway, it's something that I ordered and I'll hold on to because I'm sure I'll use it at some point. But that's the stuff I got in. So next, I'm going to work on putting everything together. I have somewhere, I'm not even sure where I stuck them. I have the actual bulkheads from Bulk Resupply that I'm going to cut out with a hole saw in the barrels and then start running my plumbing. So the one at the bottom's already there, so I'll just have to add one to the top of each, which should be easy enough. And I'll get it all put together and then I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so for anyone that's interested or following along with this setup, I wanted to say, disclaimer, first of all, I am not a plumber. I know some of it looks messy with the primer and sealant like running everywhere and all that type stuff. But this setup is in my basement in a place that nobody ever goes to and nobody's going to see. The only people that are going to see it are me and anybody watching this video. So my goal, you know, I wasn't trying to put, it takes long enough to try to put this stuff together anyway. I wasn't trying to make it look really like eye candy or anything like that. So anyway, this is what I ended up with. And it's not finished, I'm still working on it. But I'll kind of go over what I've got so far and what the plan kind of turned into. And, you know, maybe it'll give somebody else some ideas, you know, just when they're creating their setup. I think I might have gone overkill on some of it. On some of it I might not have. I'm not saying I did any of this correctly, but this is just, you know, my thought process and kind of what I decided to go with. So up on the wall, oh, and disclaimer, you know, none of my videos are sponsored. I don't make any money off YouTube. This is just kind of one of those things that I do for a hobby. So, you know, try to keep the criticisms and all to a minimum. You know, I know all this stuff isn't perfect and I know that I ramble a lot, but you know, it is what it is. I try to do these videos so maybe they could be helpful for some people, but anyway, that's my RODI system from Bulk Resupply, and drilled a hole that goes to my crawl space under my house, and I plumbed it into the main plumbing and pipes. Ran one to the drain and then, you know, one to the feed line. I added a separate chamber just for the filter because I like to run 2 of the carbon filters. I just, you know, I don't have a whole lot of chlorine and chloramines and all that type stuff. I actually have a dual stage whole house filtration system under my house. So it goes through that before it even gets to this, but you know, better safe than sorry. You know, you invest a lot of money in these aquariums and all this stuff, and I never want that to be a thing or have a chance to come up is that I had poor water quality or something that killed fish. So anyway, this is what I've got. I know it's a mess over there and you can see all my junk on the floor and all my tools and things where I've been working. So let me get kind of a close up to parts of it so you can see. If you watch the video that I had to start with this, I got the Sepix or whatever ball valves here. I got them just because they're smoother and everybody said they last longer than the ball valves that you buy in the hardware store. So I went with those. Other than that, it's just plain Schedule 40 PVC. I didn't buy the Schedule 80 or any fancy stuff for this, you know, because like I said, nobody's gonna see it. I don't really care what it looks like. I'm going for functionality. So basically, and I'm not even sure how to say it. I tried to say it before. I have the Iwaki pumps. Originally, I thought about just doing one pump in the center and then have both lines go off to one pump and a ball valve, you know, off each so I can change them. But what my thoughts are here and what I'm kind of going to do for the RODI tank, I'm basically going to run a timer to the pump and just have it turn on for like an hour a day just so it can circulate the water. I mean, I'm fairly certain that water, I know people store water, you know, bottled water sits forever, but it's not exposed to air. I think water can sit for a long time before it like starts to become stagnant or whatever, or go bad or whatever you want to say. But, you know, just as a precaution to keep it good, I mean, I just want to kind of circulate it every so often. Like I said, once a day, I think will be fine. And I could have put just a power head or something like that in there to keep some water moving, but I did it this route so that more of it's automated for me. So basically what I've got is I can turn this valve on, and that's just a 3/4 connection, which I already tested. I hooked it to a Python hose. So I think I'm just going to put a little hose spout over here and wrap it on some kind of hook or something so that I can fill up my my freshwater, like I guess container, and so I can top off like my automatic top off bins or storage containers. So primarily for that, but you know, also if I need to get any fresh water for anything else. Then I turn that one off, and then when I come up to the top, then I have that one valve on, and that's just basically recirculation, so that's just letting it flow back through the tank. If I shut that one and then open this other one, then it's going to fill up my saltwater tank. And then of course the saltwater tank, and I mentioned this before, I have the smaller pump on the RODI because it's just for recirculating and then to fill buckets and things. That's the smallest pump I could get from this company. I did the larger pump over here because my plan is, and I ran out of ball valves, I'm gonna have to order another one. I'm gonna put one right here, and then a similar thing, you know, just a 3/4 connection so I can put a longer Python on it. And my plan is to actually be able to pump salt water upstairs to the first floor where I have my aquariums. So instead of trying to carry buckets or anything like that, I wanted a pump that was strong enough to get water up to the first floor. So I think this one had like a 17-foot head pressure, you know, something like that. And I think, you know, the smaller one, you know, maybe it only had like 8 to 12 or something, you know, in that range. I'm not exactly sure what it was, but it was a lot lower. So, you know, I don't need much head pressure for this because, I mean, what do we have? Like 4 feet, if that. So this one I wanted to be able to pump the water upstairs. So I think 17 feet should be able to get me there. I hope anyway. I didn't really want to go too extreme with it. And the same thing for this one, you know, I'm going to put it on a timer so that, and with salt water, I'll probably have it come on like several times a day, but I doubt that I'm going to leave it like constantly recirculating. So I'll probably have it set so that it comes on a few times a day and then circulates all the water in there. And then when I need it, then I can just, you know, hit the button and turn it on and pump water wherever I need it. So like I said, with this one, I'm gonna put another ball valve here and then run, you know, my little configuration to hook up a hose to it. And then got the valve here that I can turn on or off for just pumping water back up to the tank to recirculate it. Then the only other plan is I'll rig some way, cut a little hole or something, and I'll drop a heater in this tank. I've always, you know, I know that the salinity to the water when you're testing it can vary a little bit by the temperature. A lot of testers my HANA tester says it automatically compensates by whatever the temperature of the water is, but I like to try to get it somewhere in the ballpark anyway when I'm mixing the salt, so that it doesn't shock my tank or anything. If I have to do like a larger water change, if you're doing real small ones, I don't think it really matters. But anyway, the plant, I'm not going to keep that down there. I know that's kind of a hazard if you get any leaks, you know, to have power down there. I actually have a box and conduit and stuff like that. I'll probably run it up on the wall and fix that up a little better. I was just trying to test it out for now. I ran this one small pump and it's a lot noisier than I thought it would be, but it's like I said, nobody's down here, so it ultimately doesn't matter. I just thought these higher end pumps would run very quiet. And I also have to check into it. I'm hoping it's not a bad pump. It's making a little bit of an odd noise to me. So I'm not sure what that's about. I'll turn it on so you can hear it. But like I said, I'm not finished with that side, so I can't run the larger one. But let's turn this one on. I'm sure you can probably hear that. I mean, to me it sounds like it's just gurgling air in the pump or pipe. And with the tank being full of water, I'm not sure how it would be getting any air in it. So it's like I said, I'm not sure if something might be wrong with the pump or not. I might reach out to Bulk Reef Supply and see what they say. They have pretty awesome customer service that's usually pretty good about helping you out. The only thing that stinks, if the pump is bad, then I did put that one like union there that I could unscrew, but I didn't put one up top, so we'll have to cut it and replumb a little bit. But we'll see. But it is kind of loud. I know I could probably help that by putting maybe a little like thin rubber mat up under it or something like that. I don't know. I might try to do something. Or might just leave it. I don't know yet. But we'll see. Like I said, it's not like a finished product yet, but for the most part it is. You know, let me know any comments or any questions you might have about what I've done, and I'll be glad to answer them as quickly as I can. Hope you enjoyed watching. I hope you get something out of it. Maybe I'll do, if anybody's interested in seeing it, I might do actually like when I get it finished, like do a salt mixing video and just kind of show you all of it working. If anybody's interested in seeing that, I don't know whether anybody, you know, so many people do these videos anyway. I don't necessarily know if anybody's curious or wants to see that. But this is my take on a water storage and mixing setup. And then the stand, if anybody's curious about that, I just made it out of 2x4s. I ran 12-inch 2x4 runners or joist or frame up under it, and then pretty much got a 3/4 piece of plywood and stuck on top there, and then I just painted it with some kills just to kind of protect it a little bit. And then of course I made a mess during all the plumbing, like dripping the primer and stuff everywhere. But nothing much to it. I think I did, what I do, 3 feet by, I guess about 4, something like that. I don't remember even what it was. But that'll wrap up this video. Thanks for watching.